Hello everyone and welcome to a fun game from 1985. It was a simultaneous exhibition in Hamburg, Germany, and Garry Kasparov, a world champion at the time, he just became the world champion, faced 32 microcomputers. So he did not play against people, he played against 32 computers, which would be unimaginable today. Even if Magnus Carlsen were to play against 32 computers of the top strength that is available today, as that's what Kasparov faced in 1985, he would lose all 32 games. Like maybe if, okay, he plays one-on-one against a supercomputer and then he has a really good day, and then maybe computer goes into some line that's a very well-known draw, maybe he gets a draw. But other than that, he would definitely lose, especially if he held a simul against 32 computers. But this was 1985, and Kasparov was very confident that he will win all 32 games, and he did. Out of those 32 games, he won all of them, and 30 of those computers were dedicated computers that were their sole purpose was to play chess, and 2 of them they had to have handlers or programmers who would use them actively as they played chess. And one of them here was Richard Lang. He was a programmer, and this is a nice photo of him. The other one was Ed Schröder, and we do have some photos of this, so we could also check that out before we check out the game. So here is Kasparov playing against I don't know which one this is, as the 2 entries were the Genius 68,000 and the Rebell Experimental. They had to have people operating them. So here's Kasparov playing against one of them, and also here's a nice, even in color photo of one of the positions in the board, where Kasparov is, I believe, getting ready to gobble up that queen on g7, as of course he was white. Some of you might not notice when you're holding a simultaneous exhibition. A custom is that you have white on all boards. So this is one of the games that I decided to show you, and it's a lot of fun because the computer is extremely strong, and then at some point it just stops to be extremely strong. So here Kasparov opened with e4, and we have pawn to c5 by Mephisto exclusive, operated by Lang. We have knight to f3, pawn to e6, and now pawn to d3. Kasparov plays a slow line. Doesn't want to go into some totally main lines to get the computer out of book, because in those days computers had to rely on books. We have pawn to d5, knight b to d2, and now knight to c6. We have the French variation of the Sicilian. Pawn to g3 by Kasparov, and knight to f6 with bishop to g2, and now bishop to d6. Bishop to e7 is by far more common today, but okay, bishop to d6 by Mephisto. We have castles by both of them, and now rook to e1. We have knight to g4, and Kasparov just kicks the knight away with pawn to h3, remaneuvering the knight over to e5, and Kasparov trades once in the center. Knight captures on e5, and the bishop captures on e5, and it is now, as of move 10, that this position has never been reached again. Kasparov plays c3, and we have d4 now, making sure Kasparov will be stuck with the this sort of a backwards d3 pawn. Not even a backwards pawn; it's just a base of the pawn chain, so it will be very weak. Pawn to c4, and now pawn to b6. And believe it or not, this pawn to b6 move is the one that gives Kasparov the initiative that he was so much looking for in this game. The way to actually play this is not to go b6, is to move the bishop back. Bishop to d6 or bishop to c7, doesn't really matter. Because now, once Kasparov lunges forward with f4, you want to play e5. And this will prevent Kasparov from playing e5. If you allow Kasparov e5, then the bishop opens up, and then you also free up d4 square for the white knight, and then you are in trouble. And here, okay, you don't care about f5. It's perfectly fine. You can even play f6. This is very much playable, even better for black. However, in this game after c4, Mephisto played pawn to b6, and this just gives Kasparov initiative. And if there's one player you do not want to give initiative to, that is Garry Kasparov. So here he plays pawn to f4, bishop back to b8, and now pawn to e5. Like I said, this opens up the bishop and also the e4 square for the white knight. Bishop to b7, and now knight to e4. We have pawn to a5, and now queen to h5. And now look at this, the knight, the queen, the bishop here. If f5 is played, maybe even the rook can get into the game. Who knows, maybe the light square bishop can join the attack. Can Mephisto defend this position? Well, he can. He will always be worse, but he can defend with something like rook to a7 or queen to e7. It is possible to hold this up until a certain point, probably. However, in the game, queen to d7 was played, and now Kasparov just has a forced checkmate in 5. So feel free to pause the video and try to figure this out while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on solving this fairly simple puzzle. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight to f6 with check. And now you have to capture, otherwise you will not just lose the queen, but also just get checkmated on h7. So it's, both is fine, checkmate is better. G captures on f6, and now E captures on f6. And now the threat is queen g5 check, followed by queen to g7 checkmate. So of course Mephisto plays king to h8. Now if you play queen g5, then rook to g8 can be played. But now Kasparov just plays bishop to e4, and now there is no defense against queen captures on h7. Mephisto was a computer, so of course it tried to delay the inevitable for as long as possible. Queen captures on h6, king to g8, and now queen to g7 was checkmate. You could also play queen to h7. Kasparov, for some reason, preferred queen to g7 checkmate. So this is what I meant by the engine or the microcomputer up until this point played a very solid game. Okay, like I said, bishop to e7 is considered stronger than bishop to d6, but even here, this c3, d4, c4, and now b6 just doesn't work. But if you just go back like a modern engine would, or even any stronger club player would, because you know that you can't allow f4 e5. Once you realize f4 e5 is such a huge threat, you know that you have to stop e5 at any cost, and you know that you will do that by just moving the bishop and playing e5, pretty much whatever white plays on the next move. But yeah, obviously this was too much for the engines of the era. And I mean, it's not that Mephisto was a bad program or anything. Mephisto was the top chess playing engine for the next 5 years, from 1985, I believe, to 1990. It won all 5 computer chess championships. So it was the best the world had to offer, because Richard Lang, for one, was such a great programmer. But facing someone like Kasparov, you can see that it very quickly crumbled. Basically, it got a terrible position by move 16, and that's unimaginable, in today's terms. Here, like I said, if like maybe on a really good day, if Magnus played against an engine, he could get a draw, but it would be inconceivable for anyone to beat an engine. I could be wrong, maybe someone will prove us otherwise, but I just don't see it happening. I hope it happens, I just don't see it happening. So yeah, that's the game and a bit of a backstory. So hope you enjoyed that. Maybe if some of you do have Mephisto, tell me if this is about the strength that it could produce, as I'm sure some of you have it. I would like to thank I Love You Sonu, Peter Gebertsen, Matthew Benoit, Andrea Vugdelia, and Frank Pluy for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.